Okay, good morning, everyone. I think it's probably a good time to get started. So I know that we might be expecting a few more people to join, and they will be let in as we go along. But welcome. Let me start first of all to say good morning and welcome to today's webinar, where we will explore this topic of embodied self-awareness, the power of the body in building self-awareness. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me this morning at this at this time in the morning. I know you've all probably got lots on, but thank you for joining me. And let me start by, before I even get into this topic, I'd like to start by introducing myself. So my name is Cheryl Whitaker. I have worked in the field of people and their development for over 25 years across industries, both in South Africa and globally. I'm an executive coach, a facilitator, and a people development specialist. And I do, as part of my business, have an HR consulting arm. I'm certified as an integral coach. And then I'm also certified, and I use the tools of Hogan. I'm Insights Discovery accredited, as well as Heart Styles. I'm absolutely passionate about people and their development. So I really love helping individuals and teams and leaders be the best version of themselves, unlocking limiting thoughts and beliefs. And I really believe that self-awareness is at the cornerstone of personal and professional growth and development. So this topic is one that is very close to my heart. As I mentioned, I use many different, and I think there are many different ways that we can build self-awareness, be it in coaching, using the tools that I've just mentioned. I mean, there's so many out there. I only use the three of Hogan, Insights, and Heart Styles. I love designing leadership development programs where we really get to, go off site and spend a couple of days together, really getting it's less about me getting to know them, but more about the individuals coming and learning more about who they are. And so they go on this journey of self-discovery and then considering, okay, well, who am I? And where do these behaviors come from? And then as a leader, how do those impact the people that I engage with? But today we're going to be focusing on just one part of self-assessment or self-awareness, which is on this embodied self-awareness. So you may be asking, well, what is self-awareness and why is it important? And cheapers, I've given up my morning to be here. And so what is this? What is this topic all about? And so self-awareness, there are actually a number of different definitions out there that can be used. I like this one because I feel that it really speaks to me, and it speaks to the topic that we're going to be exploring today. But self-awareness is defined as conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. That's the Oxford Language definition. And in essence, it really is to understand your cognitive, your physical, and your emotional self. And so the question is, do you consider yourself to be self-aware? Maybe just take a second and ask yourself, well, do I consider myself to be self-aware? So I'm going to invite you. I'm going to try and keep this as interactive as we can, as much as we can, because we've got a screen in front of us. But I want to invite you to just close your eyes for a second. Okay. And I just want you to think about yourself. Okay. I'd like you to think about yourself and how would you describe who you are? Just take a second and think about how would you describe who you are, what you like, what you don't like, your strengths, your weaknesses, how you react to certain things. I'm sure many of you have had lots of different feedback mechanisms over the years. So when you're ready, you can open your eyes, and I want to invite you to just put some of those comments or some of the words that you would use to describe who you are into the box. And then I'm going to ask if this will be the cue, if you don't mind sharing some of those comments with me, please. Or some of those words. So what are some of the words that you would use to describe who you are?
So, Cheryl, we have one comment from Melinda. Good listener, ambitious, hardworking.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Who else? Can I have maybe a few more of you wouldn't mind just thinking about yourself and sharing in the box, in the chat box, what are some of the words that you would use to describe who you are? Any more?
We have good listener again.
Yeah. Excellent.
Introvert.
Introvert. Good. And I'm pushing you all to think a little bit how you would describe yourself. And you probably, my morning, I'm now being asked to share an understanding of my own self-awareness. Any other comments or any other that would like to share? Okay, so I'm gonna keep us going. Oh, have you got more?
Yeah, I've got one more.
Yeah.
Caring, kind, show empathy. Another one. Empathic, introverted, people pleaser, organized, despise chaos, disorganized, dependable. That's the last that came through, dependable.
Okay. Oh, very nice. Okay, some really great words here. Okay, so thank you. Now I'm going to ask you to close your eyes again. And this time, I would like you to consider being invited to share who you are with a large audience. Just imagine I'm inviting you to the front of the stage, and I'm now going to ask you to please share with this large audience who you are. To share a little bit around those words that you would describe who you are. Now, I want you to notice what is happening in your body. I want you to be very specific about what it feels like and where you feel or sense it. Another way of doing is that I just unmute a few of you now randomly and ask you in front of everyone to share who you are. What would be happening? What's happening for you right now? What does it feel like? Where do you feel it in your body? And then I'm going to ask if you can please share in the chat box again. I want you to, if your eyes are closed, just imagine being invited to come and speak in front of a large audience. And what is happening? I want you to look inward, inside your body. And then please share what it feels like, and most importantly, where you feel it or sense it.
Cheryl, someone says nervous. And then there's another question that asks, how do you feel to share in front of large crowd? Sudden knot in my stomach, an uncomfortable tightness in my neck and shoulders. Another comment that says anxious, butterflies in my tummy, sweating, heart racing.
Excellent. Very good.
Goosebumps, feeling less confidence at time. Overwhelming. Nervous, heart almost racing. Feel vibration on my fingertips.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Very nice. Anybody else? I mean, there's lots here, hey, around this. Feel it. There's this anxiety, there's this nervousness, there's goosebumps, there's feeling it in my fingertips. My heart is pounding and racing. Maybe a knot in my stomach, or this burning sensation in shoulders. Okay, very good. Is there anything else before I move on?
No, there's no other comments here.
Yeah. No, excellent. That's very good. All right, so let me now introduce you to the two categories of self-awareness. The first category is what we call conceptual self-awareness. This is what you think about yourself. So the first exercise that we did is an example of this. Our conceptual self-awareness is shown in our ability to describe something about how we think of ourselves, right? So you guys all wrote down some things. And so maybe just taking it a little bit further, I might say of myself, I value time with my family and friends. I'm passionate about people and development. My strength lies in listening to others and helping them join the dots. Okay, I might say, well, my weakness, and this really is my weakness, is having to think under pressure. So I know that I'm the worst at those card games where you have to quickly draw or quickly think on your feet. So I know that that's a weakness of mine. I enjoy keeping fit, but I equally enjoy relaxing with a glass of wine and a good book or a good movie. I feel happy when I'm with really good friends and my family. I love listening to music, and I really am happy when I can spend time in nature. Okay, so this is what we call conceptual self-awareness. I can articulate my feelings, my thoughts, my likes, my dislikes, my reactions. Okay, and that list could go on. This understanding is largely theoretical. And while this is critical of leaders today, and by the way, you might be sitting here thinking, okay, I'm not a leader. I don't lead a team. A leader is anyone who has influence over another. And so if you are part of a team, you're a leader. If you lead a team, you are a leader. You might be a leader in your home. You might be a leader in your social circles. All right. So leaders, anyone who has influence over another. And so this ability to have conceptual self-awareness is critical of leaders today to be successful, not only in business, but obviously in life. But here's the thing, that is only half the story. The other is this, what we call embodied self-awareness. So what is embodied self-awareness? Embodied self-awareness is the experience of being consciously aware of what's going on inside of our body, plus what our body is sensing in our external environment. So to have embodied self-awareness means being aware, not just what we can see, what we hear, what we smell, what we can touch, maybe what we taste. So you see, those are the five senses. But it's also being cognizant of the quality and tone of the sensations that are going on inside of us. many of which are associated with our emotions. And if you look at that second exercise that we did, there was a lot of that happening for each and every one of you. So to develop an understanding of what is going on for you, it really requires a deliberate practice of tuning in to observe what's going on in the body from time to time. So let's go back to this exercise that I got you to do. All right. And I tried to note down some of them. I mean, it was great. I feel nervous. I feel like I've got goosebumps. I've got a knot in my stomach. There's a lot of you spoke about anxiety, this heart racing, sweaty, this knot in my shoulders. All right. This feeling overwhelmed. So I might, and here's how I want us to think about embodied self-awareness. All right, can actually happen in several ways. So when I'm called to speak, I might, like many of you, sense a physical sensation in my body. Right? I might have this where I always get it, this nervousness in my tummy, or this beating heart rate. So that if I tune into my body, it reminds me, just breathe. And then maybe I need to engage in some self-talk that says, you've got this, you're okay. Or when I may be feeling angry that someone in the crowd keeps speaking, and now I'm trying to share the story about who I am, I might sense a tightening or a burning feeling in my shoulders, like some of you experienced just by being asked to come up. And if I tune into that, right, it's almost like a cue that tells me I'm experiencing some kind of anxiety or anger or frustration. Our bodies are going to tell us different things, but it acts as a cue. It's telling me some information. And in this case, the cue might be just breathe and calm down before I now respond, or how I decide how I want to deal with the situation. I might also use my senses to ground me in the here and now. So I don't know if any of you have ever tried this, but if I go, now let's just use the example. I'll continue with this example. I might, in this situation, I might say, I can see people. I can hear some rumblings. I can actually smell something being cooked, which tells me that, oh, I'm actually a little bit hungry, but I'm also standing between this audience and lunch. I can touch, I can feel the microphone in my hand. And I might, oh, now I've lost my other trail. Anyway, you get the gist in terms of we can use our senses to help us. And so embodied self-awareness allows me to bring awareness to my situation using my senses and be present and get out of my head. Because so often we're in our head and we're worrying, and maybe we're doing all those things that you spoke about, but actually we can use our body and the senses of our body to have a more positive engagement with the audience, because I'm able to bring myself into the here and now. And then one other way that we can use embodied self-awareness is I can take note of other sensations in my body, maybe like joy at being asked to come and share something that I'm passionate about, but maybe that joy doesn't come very easily. And so I might need to think about something that does bring me joy. So to experience a joy in my heart, I might visualize in my mind me in nature, or me listening to really one of my favorite songs. Okay, and so just by allowing my mind, you practice it now. If you think of yourself as somewhere that brings you joy, the brain is so incredible that it can actually send signals and signs through our body to say, I'm okay. I can experience joy, and the joy can overshadow some of the other emotions that we're feeling, overwhelmed, anxious, whatever that is. So by being able to feel the impact of my emotions on my body and respond to it effectively, it leads to a more effective and a calmer presentation. The ability to connect emotions to physical sensations and then to take action demonstrates embodied self-awareness. Okay, so in summary, I know I've done a lot of talking here, but in summary, we talk about two categories of self-awareness. There's this conceptual self-awareness. It involves understanding the theories and concepts about oneself. And then there is this embodied self-awareness, and this relates to the real-time physical and emotional experiences and reactions, allowing one to navigate situations more effectively. And so both forms of self-awareness are really important. But I actually want to say to you that embodied self-awareness can often lead to more effective management of emotions and behaviors in practical situations. Okay, so there is going to be a time for questions and answers. Well, I'll give you the answers a little bit later, but maybe what I will do is just pause and ask, have there been any questions that have come up in the chat box that would be helpful for me to answer now, or can we wait till the end?
There's nothing as yet, Cheryl.
Okay. Okay, excellent. Now, so if you got questions, there will be a time a little bit, well, at the end of this for you to ask your questions. So let's try this in a different way. We're gonna be a little bit more practical now. So I'm gonna do a guided embodied experience. Now, I can only see my screen. I can't see any of you. So I'm hoping that this is going to work, but let's try it. All right. So I'm going to ask you to put your fist, so make a fist in one hand. And I want you to close the fist. So you're going to make it into a fist. The job of this hand, this fist, is to take care of your safety and your survival. I'm going to say it again. The job of this closed hand and fist is to take care of safety and survival. And now I want you to take your other hand and I want you to try and open the fist. Try and open the fist that is there to take care of your safety and your survival. And I want you to start to notice what happens in your breathing, what's happening with your fist, what's happening in your body. Okay, try and open it. Okay, and then you can shake it out. And now I'm going to just pause for a second. I'm going to ask you to use the chat box and maybe just share very quickly what happened for some of you as we went through that experience. What did you notice was happening with your breathing, with that fist, with your body? Anybody? Maybe just write down what happened. And I don't know if it's possible for people to unmute. I don't know how it works, but if you want to share as well, please do. Anyone want to share?
If anyone wants to speak, they can always raise their hand and then I can unmute them just to speak.
Brilliant. Thank you. I don't know if you all got a chance to actually practice it. And if you didn't do it now, like just remember it. So the fist is there for your safety and for survival. And then by taking your other hand, when I ask you to try and open that fist, just doing it again in case people didn't get a chance to try, I want you to see what happens with your breathing. I want you to really try and open that fist. And just
We
notice
have
what's
some
happening.
comments coming through.
Okay, brilliant.
The first one says, first we're holding off for the dear life. Rapid breathing, clenching fist tighter the more I try to open it up. Breathing was faster because the harder you try to open, the fist tightened.
Very good. Okay, thank you. I think that's my experience when I did it the first time, and it amazes me every time I do it, what happens. Now I'm going to ask you, now we're going to try it in a different way, all right? Now I want you to take your hand again, put the fist, and remember the role, the job of your fist is to take care of your safety and your survival. But this time, I want you to take your other hand and I want you to place it under the fist. Okay, just place it under the fist. And I want you to recognize this time the role of the open hand and see the open hand as one of being curious. It's one of care. It's one of respect. It's here, I've got you. I'm here to support you. Well done. You've done a great job. I'm here to take care of you. I just want you to take notice now what's happening as we use these words. What is happening now to your breathing? Are you noticing anything different in your body? And what is maybe happening with your hand, which actually and again, I'm going to invite people to share if you've noticed anything different or the same in the second exercise. Anybody notice something the same or different? Okay, when we say that the role of this hand under the fist is one of care, it's one of I've got you. You're doing a great job.
We have hand is feeling soft and comforting. Breathing has slowed down, fist becomes more relaxed, much calmer because you know you have support.
Very nice. Good. Okay, I experienced the same thing, and that's why I share this, because I think it's so powerful. It's amazing how words and actions can change what happens in our body. It's the senses that we're picking up, it's the words that we're hearing. But when we can introspect and start to notice what's happening in our body, it can give us so much information. I mean, I do other work when I'm in coaching sessions where we actually use the body, and you might do a body mantra. So if someone is really struggling to speak up in front of people, there's something we could do this. I've got you. I've got you. And you practice that every morning. And then before you do a presentation, all you have to do is this once, and the body, the mind tells the body, I've got you, relax, try it. There's lots of different things that you can do. But let me share some of the different ways that you can build embodied self-awareness. I'm happy to share these slides. I'm not going to read every single one of them, but I'm just going to pull out some of the ones that I really, I mean, to be fair, all of these are actually fantastic ways of building embodied self-awareness. The one is around mindfulness meditation. And this is, some people get a little bit freaked out with this word, meditation. But the simple act of just closing our eyes, and we call it like box breathing. So breathe in for 3, hold for 3, breathe out for 3, breathe in for 3, breathe out for 3. And just practicing that, doing it 2 or 3 times. And then just becoming aware of your thoughts and your feelings in the present moment, focusing on your breath, your body sensations, and any of the emotions that might be arising for you. It's very similar to the second one, which is a body scan. I also want to talk about journaling. Journaling is one of the most powerful things that you can do. Writing about your thoughts, your feelings, and your experiences can really provide you with great insight into your inner world. Okay, it makes us slow down. And if you feel stuck with journaling, use your 5 senses. So what am I seeing? What am I hearing? What am I tasting? And that in itself will bring you into the here and now. Okay, and then there's a whole lot of other ones here that we can, as I say, I'm happy to share this. There's this pause and reflect. Active listening is probably one of the best ways of building embodied self-awareness. Okay, so I will share this after today, and you can have a read through that. So, I've been talking a lot about both this cognitive and embodied self-awareness. And I want to say it's a must for leaders. It's a must for leaders because research has shown that it actually impacts in all of the key areas of a high-performing team, of individual growth, of organizational success. It leads to improved decision-making. Self-aware leaders can recognize their own biases, their own emotions, their motivations, leading to more informed and balanced decision-making. There's this enhanced emotional intelligence. We can have a more effective communication because an embodied self-awareness helps leaders to communicate more authentically, which builds trust and clarity with their teams, leads to better conflict resolution because we're able to navigate conflicts more effectively by understanding our own triggers and the perception or perspectives of others. We slow things down. We recognize I'm feeling anxious. My body, I've got that burning sensation. Okay, just breathe. Leads to personal growth. Role modeling, when leaders demonstrate self-awareness, they set a very powerful example for their teams. Encouraging a culture, and I'm going to talk a little bit about culture of reflection and continuous improvement. It leads to resilience. We're able to manage stress and setbacks more effectively, leading to greater resilience in the face of challenges. And so what I want to say is overall, embodied self-awareness empowers leaders to lead with authenticity, integrity, and effectiveness, ultimately benefiting their teams and organizations. And this is true of cognitive. The reason I'm emphasizing embodied self-awareness is I think as organizations, my experience having been in corporate and dealing with corporates, we're quite good at doing the cognitive. I'm not sure that we're that good at really getting to ask people, how are you feeling? What's going on for you? And I think that there's something that can be done more in that space. So why does this matter? I mean, you've been listening to quite a bit from me now. I want to share very simple, you guys might have even seen this. We talk about S plus T equals B. And so S is the situation, all right? So, let's just first of all say as leaders, in business, in your homes, amongst your friends. It's important that we understand where our behavior comes from. That's the first thing I want to say, and the impact of that. So that's the first reason why everything I'm talking around self-awareness is important. And so we might, if you use this example, we might all experience the same situation. You're all experiencing the same situation being right here with me now, but there might be different behaviors going on, right? And the reason why, and I do a lot more work on this, there isn't enough time to unpack all of this here, but I'm saying, why does it matter? Is that because how I experience a situation might be very different for how you experience the same situation. Your behaviors might be different. And it comes down to what we call the T in the middle. It's our thinking, it's our templates, it's our triggers, it's our past experiences. And there are other T's. It could be time, it could be toddlers, it can be traffic. Of course, all those things also impact behavior. But where I'm focusing on around self-awareness is this thinking space. And so without going into a whole biology lesson here, we think about three parts of the brain. There's this hypothalamus, which is, it's there to react. It's your fight or flight or freeze, or the new one, fawn, right? And then it goes, what am I reacting to? And it taps into the limbic system. And that's where we store all of our emotions. It's the emotional storage center. It's where we feel, and we tap into the limbic system through our five senses. The brain just scans and says, have I experienced anything like this before? It doesn't have to be the same thing, anything similar to this. And then we go into the neocortex, which is where we form it's the logic center. It's where we form our strategies to cope. And sometimes the strategies that we've created or that we've developed over many, many, many years in our life, they're so deeply ingrained that we don't actually spend time to challenge them and go, slow down. You don't need to react to the situation. It's not the same situation. Is there another way that I can behave? And that's why self-awareness is absolutely critical, so that we can look at our behaviors and ask ourselves, is there a different way that I can behave? The other way and reason I just want to tap into, we talk about the interconnectedness of our thinking, of our feelings, and then I've spoken about the body. And so within each of us, there's this gold that sits in us. But life happens, okay? In our lives, there are things that we should have had that we don't have or that we didn't get. Maybe it's education, maybe it's a family unit. I mean, there'll be a lot of things, and we call those voids in life. Or there are things that might happen to us that shouldn't have happened. They hurt us. And so we make ourselves certain vows. And in those vows, we want to protect our heart. And these are the things, too, that we've got to become aware of because they impact our behavior. Okay, so I've gone through that fairly quickly, but I want to say that self-awareness is really, really important. It is absolutely critical because it impacts our behavior. And we can start to think about behavior and how it links and how it impacts culture. Okay, so behavior, culture, relationship is very important. And so I don't know in what capacity you come here today. Are you a leader? Are you part of HR professionals? Are you individual contributors? But what we do know is that our behavior impacts our own individual life experiences every single day, at home, at work. Our behavior hugely influences how others experience us on a daily basis. And our behavior together with others contributes, and here it is, towards culture. And so when we are self-aware, we're able to recognize our emotions. We can process them. We can regulate, like we saw through some of that exercises that we've done, and then we can respond or behave in a way that is more effective. And I really think as leaders and as coaches and as HR professionals, we need to be thinking about how can we encourage self-awareness, not just from a conceptual perspective, but are we sitting down with our people and going, actually, not just what have you done, when will you have it by, what's getting in the way, okay, what are your strengths, how can we, help you with the areas that are weaknesses, but how are you? What's going on for you? Tell me how you're feeling. Many people struggle to connect the head and the heart. And then today we've also seen the power of the body is actually a great way to help build self-awareness. Okay, so I've done a lot of talking. So I think what I'll end by saying is the key is building a culture, I believe, of self-awareness. Self-awareness is the cornerstone to individual, team, professional, organizational growth and development. And so I think it's time that I pause. That is the end of what I wanted to share. So I think maybe I'm going to stop sharing and then just, I'm going to do Q&A, but what I will do, and I will send this, obviously I've got my contact details, which I can share with people, but if I can, I'm going to stop sharing and open up for any questions that you might have. And just to say thank you for your attention and your participation. So let me see if there are any questions. I'm going to find my chat box. Are there any questions and or comments? Maybe, if there's a little bit of time, I'd love to hear from you. Is this something that, has resonated with you? Is it something that you think about? Maybe you don't think about it. So if you don't have a question and you'd like to share as a collective, I'd love to hear from you. Any questions? Or feel free to unmute yourself. I've noticed when I have to present, I feel anxious, and never before, and then just before I have to start, a wave of calmness comes over me. Okay. And so it's so wonderful that you can tap into and start to notice what's happening for you. And I think just that act of recognizing that I feel anxious, that almost is the cue to go, just breathe. I've got you. Okay. The brain, the mind, and the body connection and the heart is just incredible. I mean, we are designed in the most phenomenal way. Okay, and please do try journaling. A lot of people say, okay, I'm going to put notes in my phone or type them. I want to encourage you, get a book, a journal, and write. Research has shown us that there is so much power in taking what we're thinking and actually writing it. So please do try the journaling. It's a great way of building self-awareness. And as you do that, ask yourself, what's going on for me? Okay, good. I'm not seeing any questions or anything else coming up.
So in the Q&A section, there is a question. How does self-awareness help a person overcome imposter syndrome?
Okay, good. Listen, I think it's real for us. This imposter syndrome, I don't know. I'm going to tell you, I feel it all the time. And so I think this imposter syndrome is real for a lot of people. What I would say, when we have got self-awareness, we can draw on what we know from a conceptual perspective. What do we know to be true of who we are? What are my strengths? What are the things that I know I'm not so good at? How do I authentically go, that's me? But what I do know is when I stand up and I speak, I can find a calmness that goes, I might not know it all. Because imposter syndrome feels like we don't have a right to be there, to speak up. And I think when we can go, fine, I don't know it all, but I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not so good at. And then when we can use our bodies to give us insight to go, I'm feeling anxious. When that imposter syndrome comes up, it's probably going to come up in a way of huge anxiety. Well, it'll be different for everyone. But I know when I feel that sense of imposter syndrome, I get stuck in my head and I get this terrible angst in my stomach. And I've learned and I'm learning when I get that, it's that cue for me, just breathe. And then I go, there's a mantra and it's different for different people, but I know we don't have time now to do it, but there's something when I do this, I just have to do this once. And it's like it tells my mind, you've got this. And so I want to say the imposter syndrome is there. I get it. It's going to be real. I think you need to find some kind of a personal body mantra that allows your mind to tap and say, I've got this. I'm not the best. I'm not proclaiming to say I know it all, but I'm going to deliver this in the best way that I can. I hope that answers that question. So your body, let your bodies learn to listen to your body because it will tell you far quicker than what your mind will. Something's going on for you. Okay, so I can't see your Q&A session, so please just, if whoever that's asked that question, if you want to come back, if you would even like to unmute and build on that question, please do. But I hope that answers that a bit for you. And the
There's
reality...
another comment in the Q&A section.
Yeah.
It says we use the HSE concept, stop, think, observe, and plan. You can apply this in every situation.
It's one of my favorites. I say stop, think, and then behave. And part of the thinking, or actually, sorry, stop, pause, breathe, and behave. It's exactly the same. Thank you for sharing that. It is absolutely probably one of the quickest ways of being able to just calm the body. So thank you for sharing that. I love that. Was stop, think, observe, and then so Stanley is, okay, this is just a comment. Many people had self-awareness, able to understand and control their emotion. I believe, yeah, they would be alive as we speak. Yeah, I think, and this is why I want to say self-awareness is the bedrock. It is the center for growth, because otherwise we just react all the time. And some people react in ways that they may or may not have regret afterwards. Yes, and Sydney has said, for me, I find that once my mind connects with my body, that's when I start to gain my confidence back. Brilliant. The challenge is that sometimes it takes a while, but I'm gradually working on it. And I can tell you, I'm very much a work in progress. So even though I do this on a regular basis, I am still a work in progress. I really believe it's something that you just got to constantly be aware of. And I can go for days when I haven't even checked in with myself. And so just that motion of slowing down and doing that body check is also helpful. Okay, good. Are there any other questions that have come up on your side? Okay, well, I think if there are no more questions, then I just want to say thank you so much for joining this morning. I'm very happy to stay back, and if there are any other questions, I can answer them. And yeah, if you'd like any more information, please feel free to reach out. But I think just the simple act, I always say to people, start with yourself. Because when we do it, then we start to see people in a different way. And those people go, you're so much calmer. I see that you are slowed down when you're speaking. What's going on? And then you get to share. So thank you. And have a wonderful day and rest of your week.